I've just reached a huge milestone in the development of my Biomimetic Bionic hand project. I built my first prototype in 2017, and since then it's been a slow process of testing components in isolation, building separate modules, and a few failed attempts at a full working model. This is the first time everything in the hand is working consistently and repeatably. There's still a lot of room for improvement, but I at last have a solid mechanical base which I can release into the world. I've already seen some amazing builds from the community despite that I've only released a few bits of the design here and there, so now I'm really excited to see where you guys can take this project now that it's a bit more concrete. All of the files for the current design are on my Patreon page right now, and the next video I make will be a full walkthrough of how to build the hand, at which point I'll release everything publicly and for free. So in this video, I'll walk you through my mechanical redesigns, the full rebuild process and the things I changed. I'll talk about the programming side of things, and finally I'll take you through the testing that I've started to evaluate the hand's performance and capabilities. The most obvious part of this redesign is the lateral MCP joints. Now I know some of you will be upset that I switched from my custom servo housing version to just a standard servo built into the palm, but this part has been so finicky and always prevented me from finishing my prototypes, and so I just felt that I needed to make a version that works, and I can build a more biomimetic version when I have a more solid base. This does also mean that the CMC joint of the thumb and the 4th and 5th metacarpal CMC joints have a reduced range of motion. I think sometimes with projects like this, if you get stuck and you can't move forward, then moving in a different direction can at least get you moving again, and then most of the time you'll find that that momentum carries you through to where you want it to be in the first place anyway. Remember that perfectionism can be the enemy of progress. This version of the palm, although it's a little bulkier, works perfectly and leaves me tons of space for cable management, where I can also have all the cables going in a separate direction to the sensor wires. I made some improvements to the forearm. In the previous version it was incredibly fiddly to get the screw and nut in position, so I printed a replaceable snap fit strip which has all the nuts sealed in. It's easy to make these by adding a pause in your 3D printing G-code and then inserting the nuts and continuing the print over the top of them. I did the same thing for one of the base components, but I must have left too large of a gap because the nut got loose inside and then it became impossible to get the screw out. Overall, this version of the forearm is way easier to build. Quick recap on the PCB. I'm using servos which have had their internal sensor removed and replaced with a cable. This plugs into my PCB, which goes through another cable and directly into each joint in the hand, where I have a slim potentiometer to give instant joint angle feedback. I redesigned my PCB again when it occurred to me that about 90% of this original design was wasted space. I think I tried to make it so that the sockets were close to each servo, but the wires that the servos come with are really long anyway, so I didn't really need to do that. GLC PCB sent me this board, and as always it came out beautifully. It's super easy to whip up a PCB design, upload the files to their website and get super fast, high quality boards. Check out my affiliate link in my description if you'd like to use GLC PCB for your PCB. With the previous prototype, I had a really hard time soldering the connections, and I found the servos to just generally not be very reliable, so rather than using the MG90S servos I used last time, I went with the Corona DS939MG servos. A little bit more expensive, but they turned out to be much more reliable. They also conveniently have a pretty generously sized board and are easy to access all the connections for me to replace with my own cables. One thing I didn't realise was that the potentiometer in this servo design is actually not removable because it acts as a shaft for the final gear. So I had to remove the physical end stop and break whatever internal structure was keeping the gear locked to the pot by forcibly twisting it. It did mean that there's a little bit of friction now, but I really don't think it affected the strength of the servo at all. A really big key to the success of this version was that I switched to extension spring rather than PTFE tubing for the cable housing. It turns out it's extremely resistant to compression, it bends just as well, and it's pretty low friction. I think I remember reading this suggestion in the comments, so a big thanks to whoever suggested that. As I went through and wired them all up, I had to find out which pulse widths, i.e. servo target angles, corresponded to the extremities of the range of motion in each joint, and I wrote them all down in a big chart. I'll go through this in more detail in my follow-up video where I'm going to walk you through exactly how to build this yourself. Another thing that I'm doing in this prototype is using more FDM printed parts. I have to say that I'm feeling pretty over resin printing. Obviously the detail level is great, but it's always so brittle and I just hate the mess, the smell, the stickiness, FDM works better in a lot of cases too because the friction is lower. The only issue I had was that some of the smaller holes were a little undersized or clogged up. Another difference you might have noticed is that I've switched CAD package. I'm now using Onshape. So I first encountered Onshape at work. A common topic of conversation around the coffee machine for me is different types of CAD software and what they offer. When a friend first showed me that multiple people could be in the same document editing the same part together at the same time, I was kind of blown away. Onshape makes it really easy to collaborate because not only is everything stored in the cloud, but you can also track changes, make branches to try out variations, and even merge these back into your main branch, just like how version control usually works for programming. This is the reason the company I work at, which has hundreds of engineers, switched over to Onshape, and it's the reason I switched for my YouTube projects too. As you guys know, I'm a big believer in collaboration and open source projects because I think that education should be accessible, and I think that as a community we can achieve so much more than what I as an individual can achieve. So you can see why Onshape appeals so much to me. My vision is to publish living designs which anyone can view, download, modify and experiment with, and I think Onshape will make that much easier. Using my link in the description you can get an Onshape hobbyist license for free, and on the same link companies and engineers can trial the Onshape professional plan free for 6 months. I really wanted this prototype to have some compliance, so I did some experiments with springs, replacing a small section of the cable housing with a compression spring. I was hoping this would maintain tension and get rid of backlash, but I think that by having two sides of the cable on separate springs, I made it so that they can get out of sync with each other, and it actually gives it kind of worse backlash. They were also bending at weird angles, so I linked the two sides of the two springs together, and this worked better, but I think it needs to be properly constrained with some kind of tiny linear guide to ensure the tension is even across both cables. I had to scrap this idea because I was running out of time, but maybe next time I'll revisit the compliance idea. The most restrictive issue I have with this prototype is that I can't get enough power to the servos. With my variable power supply I dropped the voltage to 3 volts, which made the servos much slower and weaker, which was perfect for testing and building when I didn't want to damage anything if I accidentally pushed a joint too far. After I finished wiring up all the servos, I went to increase the voltage again, and I let the smoke out. Turns out it was a transistor on the servo driver board, so I guess they just can't handle that much current. So for the tests I did, I'm running the servos on half voltage, and they are significantly slower than they should be. I went back to the Unity code that I wrote for the last video and refactored a little. I found that I had something like 3 variables per joint that didn't really do anything, and so getting rid of those cleaned things up a lot. I realised that the smoothing code that I was using just wasn't really necessary anymore because my servos have a lot less jitter now and are just generally behaving a lot better. So I got all of this working with every joint in the hand, but I have to say I was quite disappointed about how this whole system worked. I think the reason is that we're just seeing the stack up of several links in the chain being suboptimal. The leap motion hand tracking is not really precise enough, the Arduino's not really powerful enough, and obviously the servos are undervolted. Now all that sounds a bit negative, but now that I have this solid mechanical base, I, or we as a community, can work on aspects of the design in isolation, and I really think the design will start to take off from this point. Since I couldn't really achieve much with the leap motion control, I made a separate, very basic controller in Unity, which basically consisted of a bunch of sliders, with each joint from its maximum extension to maximum flexion. This was very slow to operate, very tricky to position everything exactly where I wanted it, but this was how I was able to test each of the grip types. So I went back to my thesis and I looked at the testing section, and I recalled the Southampton Hand Assessment Procedure, which is a test designed to evaluate prosthetic hands, states that there are 6 important grip types necessary for a functional hand to perform. Back in university I had a prototype hand, but the drive system didn't work properly, so I manually posed the hand into each position. This time I used my Unity controller to drive each joint into position. So onto the grip types now. We have the extension grip, which is very simple, the tip grip for holding small items, the lateral grip where the thumb pins an object against the side of the first finger. I struggled a little bit with the tripod grip, which is mainly for holding thin objects like pens, but I think this was mostly because of the lack of grip and because it was tricky to find the exact right positions to tell the fingers to go to. The power grip, which is for bars, door handles, etc., was pretty okay, although the fingers were getting a little bit stuck on each other. I think now I can do away with these bent wire connections because the SnapFit IP joint axles hold everything together pretty well anyway. And finally, the spherical grip. Another test I've heard of, although I can't quite remember where I heard it, is that the tip of the thumb should be able to meet each of the other fingertips. This prototype got really close to the pinky finger but ultimately missed. I think it's partly because I mistakenly made the thumb undersized, but it's also definitely because of the reduced range of motion in the thumb resulting from my new palm design. So it seems like it can handle these positions pretty well. So as I mentioned, everything is on my Patreon page right now, but I will be following up soon with a detailed guide on how to build this yourself, how to set it up, bill of materials, etc. This has been an incredibly long time coming. This project has been on and off for me since 2017, and in actual fact I think I made my first hand when I was 18. I didn't even use a 3D printer, it was all aluminium and wood. I've had so many different ideas in that time that I've put off in order to finish the hand, and as you guys know, I've lost momentum several times. I'm so excited for the community to take my design and modify it, improve it, experiment with it, and I can't wait to work on some of the other things that I've been putting off for so long. Exciting times ahead, guys. I'm so happy you're all here for the ride. So massive thanks once again to my patrons who make it possible for me to keep making stuff, and I'll see you all again soon.